Hello guys, it's your girl Mrs. Mwadi Kenya. For the returning subscribers, welcome back. And for the new viewers, kindly subscribe, comment, like and share. So today, as the title says, we are going to be making some mandazis, and as the English people like calling it, fried bread. So normally you'd have to use all-purpose flour, baking powder, sugar, milk, and eggs. But for today's recipe, we are only going to use the flour and milk. You can also just use water if you are lactose intolerant, because of this amazing flour that's found in our grocery stores in Kenya. As it says here, with added sugar and simply add water. So this is not an advertisement. I just like talking about brands I believe in, brands I've used and I've loved. So as you can see, it's not my first time using this flour. This is my go-to when I'm making mandazis. Correct me if I'm wrong and suggest a better flour if you know of one. So without further ado, let's get into it. So guys, this is the final outcome. It's not sticky, it's not transferring, that's the word. It's not transferring, but it's soft enough to be kneaded. So this is the final dough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it up with some blue band, or what some of you might use is butter. So I'll use it to just cover it up and retain the moisture inside. And I'm going to cover this whole dough for 2 hours before I can start shaping and frying it. So let's continue. So guys, this is the dough 2 hours later. It is not sticky at all. Very good consistency. As you can see, it is soft. So now I'm using the same flour I was using. So just use the same flour you were using to make the dough. So the reason we're using this flour is to make sure that as I roll out this dough, it does not stick on the surfaces. So the first thing I want to do is to just roll it into a sausage-like shape. This one, I'm not going to spend so much time on this because this is not the important part. So the reason I'm doing this is to just be able to cut it into almost equal parts, so that I can be able to batch my mandazis into different portions, different smaller portions. I will take the portions that I'm not using, roll them into bowls, and just put them aside in another dish. Then I will cover the dish. So I'm going to cover this somewhere else because my surface is not so big. So now I'm back. I'm going to roll this out or flatten it. So I'm going to flatten it. As you flatten, make sure you add just a bit of flour on the surface so that it's not too floury, but at the same time, it does not stick on the surface. So if I were making chapati, I'd have made sure that this dough is rolled out into a perfect circle. But since it is mandazi, it's a bit flexible. I can be able to roll it even into a not so perfect circle or even into an oval, and I'll still be able to cut my mandazi into smaller portions. So now guys, my dough is all rolled up. So I'm going to try and cut this into rectangular or square-like shapes. So this dough, you can be able to shape it into whatever you want. You can shape it into circles, you can shape it into triangles, you can shape it into donuts. But for me, because of time, I prefer to shape it this way because it's easier. My dough is so soft and I like it that way. So when you're rolling out your dough, make sure you don't over roll it so it does not become too thin, but at the same time don't make it thick because it will not cook on the inside. That's it. So now I am going to fry them. I can see that the oil is already hot enough, not too hot to burn them. So let's go. So I'm pushing them in the hot oil a bit so that they can be able to inflate with a bit of air, so they can be airy mandazis. This makes them softer and easier to eat, especially for children, because I have children. So I have to make sure that these ones can be easily eaten by young children so that they can enjoy them. Once one side of the mandazis cook, make sure to turn the mandazis to the other side so that both sides can cook. And also just keep your mandazis cooking and keep turning them until they turn to the brown of your choice. For me, I like them golden brown, but a bit darker than golden brown. So that's what I'm going for, and they're about to get there, but I'm still turning my mandazis as I go so that they don't overburn on one side. So now once your mandazis are ready, you can remove them. Make sure that the dish where you're going to be placing your already cooked mandazi is layered with kitchen towels, whether it's the fabric kitchen towels or the disposable ones. Make sure it's layered with it so that the kitchen towels can be able to absorb the excess oil from the mandazis. So now we are going to repeat the first, the same process. As for the amount of dough you put inside the sufurias, that depends on the size of your pot. Sufuria is pot in English, sorry. So the number of dough you put into your pot is determined by the size of the doughs, the portions, and also the size of the pot. So for me, I'm using a medium-sized pot. So I'm able to put 8 to 10 doughs at a go. So guys, we are repeating the same steps before I show you how to roll the dough again using the last ball of dough left. So as I was saying, push the doughs down to make them inflate with air so that they can be filled with air to make them softer. So I'll leave this to cook as I roll the last dough, because with this type of cooking you have to multitask. You cannot just cook and wait and roll the dough, because what will happen is that the dough will overheat, and if you reduce the gas level, what will happen is that the dough will cool. It will cool down. So when you put your mandazis in a cool down oil, it does not inflate with air and it does not cook. What it does is it soaks in oil, so it becomes too oily for most people's liking. And if you put it in very hot oil, what happens is that it burns outside before it cooks. So you find a very dark brown mandazi, but inside the dough is still sticky. So yeah, so that's what we are trying to avoid. So let's get into it. So let's repeat the last step as I check on these mandazis so they don't burn. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. So this won't take me more than 2 minutes. So just cover it in some dough and roll. So I think I put too much dough on that one. So as I say, don't roll too thin and don't roll too thick. So this is okay. Just smoothen it. Let me turn this. So now we'll cut it. So this is how thick your dough should look. Not too thin, not too thick. So that it can also have some filling inside. It's not just an empty bowl with air. So it will have air, yes, inside, but also have some meat. So it can become soft and filling when you eat it. So as you can notice, the oil has turned into a brownish color. That's because the flour that you use to make the dough not stick on the surface burns also and settles in the oil. So what we do about that is I let the oil sit for some few hours. Then I sieve it back into the container, because this oil can be used again and again, maybe 3 to 4 times. So instead of wasting oil and going to buy more, I usually just let it settle, sieve, store it, and reuse it to fry for fried foods. So now I'm adding the dough. I think that's enough. You also don't want to make your pot too full, because what happens is they end up going on top of each other and they prevent each other from absorbing air and becoming full. And also they prevent each other from cooking on both sides at the same level. So these are our mandazis so far. These are the portions left, and I'll be done. This job took me, cooking this after the 2 hours of raising, it took me only 30 minutes to cook all this dough, all this. So it's an easy job, and these mandazis will last my family. I have a big family, so it will last us 2 to 3 days. That's for breakfast and also as a snack, especially during the evening when the kids take their evening tea, because it's cold in Kenya. So when it's cold, we normally try to have both morning and evening tea. If it's hot, we only have fruits for the day as snacks, then meals also in between. So guys, this is how our mandazis look once served on a plate. Feel free to spread honey or even jam on them. For me, I prefer to eat without any of these additions. But for some people, like my husband, he prefers honey on top. So I'm serving him right now. So I'd want to show you how the mandazis look on the inside. So I'll just take one of these and cut it. Can you see? Yes, so it is filled, it is cooked. If you want to know it's cooked, this part inside is normally airy. Yeah, so it's cooked and it's filled. So this is soft and perfect. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Let me know if you'll try it and what the results will be. See you on the next one. Subscribe, comment, share, and like. Bye.